It's game 2 in the qualifiers as Featherstone Rovers take on the Leigh Centurions here at the LD Nutrition Stadium. Featherstone scrambled into the championship's top 4 on the last day of the regular season to win a place in the middle eights, while Leigh finished second bottom in Super League. So the Centurions are now in a battle to keep their place. Featherstone are hoping to win promotion via this phase of the season. More rugby league action to look forward to live on Sky Sports later on today, with the Catalan Dragons and the London Broncos going head-to-head in the qualifiers. That's from 5:10 on Sky Sports action. And already in the qualifiers, Warrington have got off to a winning start, overcoming the Widnes Vikings 28 points to 14. Catalan against the London Broncos to come later on today. And one game on Sunday, Hull Kingston Rovers against Halifax, and that's 3 p.m. kickoff. Both sides in pretty good shape going into this crucial game, the first in their qualifiers series, and Featherstone boosted by the return of the ever-reliable John Davis in their pack, but Jason Walton in the centres is a loss. He is out. Ian Hardman is at full-back. Then it's Luke Briscoe, Josh Hardcastle, Missy Talapapa, Scott Turner, Kyle Briggs and Anthony Thackeray. A very experienced combination there. A pretty experienced forward pack as well, with Richard Moore, Keele Carlisle, Darryl Griffin, John Davis back after missing the last game, Connor Farrell making his debut, having signed on loan from Widnes via Wigan, and James Lockwood is at loose forward. And on the bench, Andy Bostock is fit again, very experienced player. Frankie Mariano, Matty Wildy, and a home debut for Sam Brooks, as it is for the coach, John Duffy, the man who took over from John Sharp just a few weeks ago. Now then, the Leigh Centurions do have 1 or 2 players missing. No Gareth Hock, no Ben Crooks, Jamie Acton suspended. Greg McNally is at full-back. Matty Dawson, Matty Fleming, Samisoni Langi, Mitch Brown moves out to the wing, and the halves Daniel Mortimer and Josh Drinkwater. Then in the forwards, Anthony Maria keeps his place in the starting lineup in the absence of Hock, Mickey Hyam, Harrison Hansen, Atelier Vey, Corey Patterson and Lachlan Burr. And on the bench, Glenn Stewart, Danny Tickle, Liam Hood, who was a last-minute doubt. He's been suffering from a sickness bug, but has been passed fit to play. And debut, or second appearance, I should say, for Greg Richards, signed on loan from St Helens. And the coach who's got off his sick bed to be here today is Neil Dukes. Well, the LD Nutrition Stadium in great shape. It's a lovely day. Quite breezy though around the grounds, and the flat cappers out in good numbers to see if their side can make a better fist of the qualifiers than they did last year. They lost all 7 in this phase of the season last year, did Featherstone Rovers. Leigh Centurions were promoted via the qualifiers last year, so they know how it's done, but the Centurions well aware of how important it is to get off to a good start here against the Featherstone Rovers, Barry.
Well, this first weekend can be a real springboard for this phase of the season. Leigh Centurions come into this week. Of course, the Challenge Cup semi-finals gave them a week off, but their previous game was at Salford. They were victors 25 points to 0. However, Featherstone, coming off the back of 2 defeats, Halifax to lose away, will now look at this competition, something different, something new, start afresh. It's very important to get off with a win.
Fireworks going off the back of the stand here at the LD Nutrition Stadium. Still going off in the bright sunlight as the 2 sides line up. And Leigh Centurions, boosted by a good performance last time out, beating the Salford Red Devils 25 points to 0. James Child is the referee. They're getting the money's worth out of these fireworks, that's for sure.
Well, we've got good weather, a great surface, and two highly motivated teams who, in theory, should provide a brilliant game of rugby league for us to all watch here now this afternoon for the next 2 hours. Featherstone with home ground advantage, and they've had some good success this year. They've won more games than their opponents, but albeit in a lower league.
It'll be Featherstone who'll get us underway. And the sun in the faces of the Leigh players as they claim the possession early on here. And they'll be up against a very motivated Featherstone Rovers side, keen to put on a good effort for their new coach, John Duffy, who, as I said, took over from John Sharp. The chairman here, Mark Campbell, deciding that a change was needed, saying this is the best squad we've had here in 10 years, but it's the worst to watch, he said. I haven't enjoyed watching us, said the chairman, so he decided to make a change. John Sharp, who'd got them into top 4 position, lost his job. John Duffy moved from Swinton to take on one of the plum jobs in the Championship, one of the plum jobs outside of Super League. Good pressure, good kick chase. Maria bats it back, but straight into the arms of the chasing Richard Moore.
Well, Richard Moore finds himself in the right position, regathers that. It was an impressive defensive set from Featherstone. They look like they're trying to be as physical as they can. 2 Leigh players get to the ball first. Bit of a worry for Ian Hardman.
It's a determined run there. Is it by Talapapa? Charging forward, using the quick plays, trying to go straight down the middle here against Leigh.
Here's Daryl Griffin, 36 years of age now. Griffin on the halfway line plays the ball. Lockwood, another one of the very experienced players in this Featherstone Rovers side. And Thackeray hoists that kick. The sun goes behind the clouds as McNally comes and claims that ball and then offloads it to Matty Dawson.
That's a lovely take from the fullback, Greg McNally. I'm thinking in the second half, going down the brew, you'll get a bit of joy following those bigger forwards. But do you know, when you look at this fixture, you look at the attitude of Featherstone, I think of all the big guns they'll be playing against, this is the fixture that'll hold no fears for them. They've played many, many times against the Leigh Centurions.
Featherstone go to London next week and then to Widnes. And Leigh, there's their coach Neil Jukes, face Hull Kingston Rovers next weekend. A game you can see, and that pass sits up nicely for Atelier and gets the pass away. And the first try of the game to Mortimer. And a try out of nothing really for Daniel Mortimer, his first for his new club. And a steaming break up the middle from Atelier paving the way for Daniel Mortimer to get the Leigh Centurions off to the best possible start.
Well, a perfect delayed pass. Mortimer takes the ball to a defender who's retreating, feeds big Atelier, who does remarkably well to draw the fullback. Just look at the timing on this pass, takes it to the line, Mortimer. Connor Farrell backs off, opens the door, and this is perfect execution of a 2-on-1. Lovely stuff from the Centurions.
Daniel Mortimer, a late season signing from Cronulla. And he moved to Cronulla hoping for regular first team action. Didn't come his way, so he's crossed the world to join the Centurions for these last few weeks of the season.
If you look at his playing
try.
If you look at his playing CV, he's too good to be playing outside of the Super League at certain. And I think he's shown that there with his ability to release a player into the hole and then support and score. Leigh are 6-0 ahead.
They are. Drinkwater converts. Leigh ahead.
Oh, look, they've managed with Harrison Hansen. Featherstone's enthusiasm to get up quickly in defence has been exploited here by some clever play. And I think the 2 players who they'll target Leigh will be the standoff and scrum half for the Rovers. Kyle Briggs on one side, Anthony Thackeray on the other, number 7. It was inside him that the break was made. And as a result, I think they'll continue to run as often as they can. 2 in from the winger on both sides of the field.
Mortimer making his 4th appearance for the Centurions. Gets the first points on the board. Here's Anthony Maria, the French international prop. Once to the Catalan Dragons, in action later on, the Dragons playing the London Broncos.
Good charge from the front row as well. Just knocked Keil Carlisle right off his feet.
Hold, Darryl. Hold. Go two.
Leigh coming from deep with Harrison Hansen. He's missed only 2 games this year, which is a great return from a very combative player. Combative there, and gets the penalty.
He's a solid performer and he refuses to be taken down without a struggle. It forces the hand of James Child. But it was a nice angled run from the front row of Maria. Gets to midfield, and they've got to get that right, Featherstone. They can't afford to be off script. If you're aggressive and your line speed's good, everybody has to be on the same level and same page.
Connor Farrell, like Harrison Hansen, a Wigan product, but has been out on loan. And now at Featherstone for the remainder of the season. Gives that penalty away. Here is Hansen, and Leigh looking dangerous again. And Featherstone having to scramble across in defence to stop Mitch Brown's progress. Samisoni Langi in the middle of the field now. Burr gets the pass away. Hansen, here is Maria. Maria on to Mortimer. Mortimer over the top. Dawson skipping back in field. He's brought down by Thackeray, I beg your pardon. Fleming infield to Mortimer. Little grubber kick comes in. He'll chase it. The ball's still loose. And McNally, with his poacher's instinct, I think has got the try. He has. Featherstone couldn't deal with the kick from Mortimer. And Greg McNally was first to react, to get his 4th try of the season. And Mortimer having a big say in the proceedings early on here. He's scored one, he's made one.
Showed some brilliant skill though. The left to right pass to get them over to that side of the field was outstanding. And then the delicacy, the accuracy, and the problems that kicks like that cause are fully exploited by Greg McNally, who waits patiently for it to pop up. Okay, he's done the hard work. He's run and put himself into position to take advantage of a lucky bounce. And although the fact there were 3 Featherstone players in position, none of them were able to take in the ball, and they find themselves now with a very difficult conversation as they stand behind the post. Less than 7 minutes on the clock, and this looks like they'll be 12-0 behind.
Josh Drinkwater then with a second conversion attempt in swift order, and this one pretty straightforward as well. And he converts, and Leigh Centurions already 12-0 up.
Darryl, just when I call release, just release him, don't come up with the ball.
Well, it's easy to look at Ian Hardman and question his position, but it's just that run of Anthony Maria. Comes back against the grain on a drop-off play, probably makes the fullback hesitate just a touch, but Ian Hardman will have his hands full. Quality player Josh Drinkwater, asking plenty of questions.
Pensive-looking John Duffy, Featherstone Rovers coach, seeing his side up against it early on here. They were up against it in their first game in the qualifiers last year. They suffered a demoralising 6 points to 62 home defeat against Leeds. And Featherstone will be hoping that they can stop the tide, because Leigh Centurions are running hot at the moment. Making ground. Here's Lachlan Burr.
Move, get square, keep coming, Rich. Hold.
Just inside his own 40. Anthony Maria seeing plenty of the ball, the French prop. That's the 5th tackle. Better defence from Featherstone Rovers this set. Drinkwater drills the kick downfield, and Featherstone will get their hands on the ball for the first time in quite some time.
He thought about the high kick, Josh Drinkwater, placed it in his hands, saw a bit of open space, dribbled it along the floor, and the kick chase from the Centurions was first class.
Featherstone working their way out of defence.
They look shocked at the moment, physically and mentally at the moment. I know the scoreboard's ticked against them, but they're all stood in a small group in the centre of the field. They've played conservatively. It looks as though they're going to try and run almost from one goal post to the other here, doesn't it, from the start of this match? We get to the 5th play.
There's Keil Carlisle, Thackeray. Looking for touch, just inside the sideline.
And that's exactly what he wanted to do. He talked about the team being shocked and the pace of the game being far too strong. We've got 9 minutes, there's the kick. We've got 9 minutes on the clock, 2 tries scored, 12-0 down. Anthony Thackeray recognises that they need to get the ball over the sideline, walk to the scrum, just have a little bit of communication. Right, lads, let's settle ourselves down now.
On that cross.
And try and force an error from this Leigh Centurion side, who've had their struggles this season. That victory over Salford last time out ended a 4-game losing sequence, and that meant they escaped the wooden spoon that fell to the Widnes Vikings at the end of the regular Super League 23 rounds. Now we're into the qualifiers, and they get a penalty. Samisoni Langi was prevented from a quick play the ball by Richard Moore's actions.
He's too strong. Richard Moore, a big man himself, just can't control the centre, who fights hard. Much like Harrison Hansen a couple of minutes ago.
Hold. Go, react to the call, Richard, all right.
Here is Atelier Vey now. Once of London Broncos and St Helens.
Hold, James. Go.
Hyam, Mecklenburg, Maria, quick hands, Harrison Hansen. But in the thick of a group of Featherstone Rovers players who have managed to stop his progress.
Go.
Here is Hyam. Bags of experience from him as well. Mick Hyam, 36 years of age, over 500 career appearances now. Atelier Vey. Featherstone struggling to cope with his strong running. You see Mortimer there in 33, directing operations. Here is Anthony Maria once more. Maria gets the offload away. Atelier Vey wasn't anticipating that, but he managed to get a hold of it. Down the short side, little grubber kick comes in, and Missy Talapapa just manages to get out of trouble.
Oh, he did ever so well, Talapapa then. Another fabulous kick from Mortimer, pressure-building kick, and Featherstone have a long way to go here, and they're under the pump again.
And they're under pressure now, the aggression. There's Mortimer's kick.
Had to have a go at it, had to have a go at it. Skills were up to scratch. Featherstone on the third tackle, still only 15, 20 metres.
Good run from Keele Carlisle, though. Makes progress. Thackeray telling his players which way to go, and then the kick is ricochets off Richard Moore, and that'll be the turnover, and that's disappointing.
Oh, that's a bad mistake. A bad mistake. We talked about the difference in the kicking game. Kyle Briggs.
This is accidental offside, isn't it, when it hits one of your own teammates there. He's put in front of him. Being on the last tackle rather than being a scrum, it's a handover. Pressure from Leigh. There are times in a game of rugby league when your opponents start better than you, which is the case here for Featherstone today. But it's about their ability to be able to hang on in now through this tough period. They cannot afford to concede in this set.
Hyam, Hansen, Anthony Maria once more.
Two, Darryl, move in. Hold.
Keeping his place in the lineup. No Gareth Hock. Hyam, Hansen. Hansen gets the pass away. That's better defence. Lockwood put his shoulder in. And it's picked up by Mortimer. Mortimer weaving and then runs into the tackle from Kyle Briggs. They've lost ground. That tackle from Lockwood has maybe lifted spirits in the Featherstone camp. Here is Patterson now. Hyam scampering. The pass slips out of his hands, and Connor Farrell picks it up, and Mickey Hyam trying to get the pass away. The ball just seemed to squirt from his grasp.
Well, if Featherstone come back and win this game, we'll look back at that incident there with 13 and a half minutes gone and say that that was perhaps the turning point in the game. With Hyam's run, there was an opportunity there for Leigh to score again. Could he find the pass? Was his teammate, but the ball thrown forward, and the opportunity's gone. Featherstone survive.
Need you quickly, Kyle, in the rock on the move call.
You need to trust your teammates when that scoreboard has gone against you. 14 minutes, 12 points against you. We saw James Lockwood, he got up quick, he tried to force that mistake, but that can go with you or against you. You trust your teammates, trust your game plan, and apply yourself to it.
Ian Hardman just completed a testimonial campaign, plays the ball. Farrell now. Carlisle, Lockwood. Featherstone with Carlisle, Griffin. Now they're giving it a bit of width, and Davis bursts through the first tackle. Couldn't beat the second from Hansen, but gets the quick play the ball. Now here's Kyle Briggs. For the first time in the game, Leigh backtracking on the last, and Carlisle puts the kick in, and that's a disappointing kick to end that set as well, because it was straight down the middle and into the hands of Greg McNally. But Davis back in the side after missing the last game.
Something for the Featherstone fans to cheer about, an ability, one of their players beating the opposition. Good footwork, wasn't it, to cut through, and starting to look more competitive now, although the pace of the game, we have seen in previous seasons, teams in the Championship struggle with the speed and concede 2 penalties here, holding down their opponent again. It's a third penalty that's gone against them inside the first 15 minutes.
Daniel Mortimer puts that one into touch just inside the Featherstone Rovers half. And here is Corey Patterson. Had a good qualifying series last year. Corey Patterson got 3 tries, and Patterson is penalised, I think.
Tunnelling under the opponent.
It is, it's a Featherstone Rovers penalty.
I think this is a tough one, this. He's trying to regain his feet. He's earned the right by getting through collision. See Mickey Iam, he shows his frustration. Featherstone needed it.
We're in a famous mining area, and he was trying to tunnel down through, wasn't he, as far as he could to the opposition line. The referee wouldn't have it, and that's a massive relief here now for Featherstone. Massive. They get a chance to attack here before they expend much more energy. Are they quick enough, sharp enough here now to cut through Leigh's defence?
Here is Daryl Griffin, very experienced former England international Daryl Griffin. Keel Carlisle, Briggs, Thackeray finds Hardman.
Well, the pass was on to Talapapa then. He was in space.
Fleming makes the tackle. Here is Thackeray now. Thackeray across the field. Briggs a little step from him. Patterson makes the tackle. Anthony Maria just delays things a bit longer. Keel Carlisle now. Richard Moore steps, tries to get the pass away. Harrison Hansen does well to deny him that opportunity. Carlisle now. Thackeray, short pass from Thackeray. Connor Farrell is stopped in his tracks. He plays the ball. Carlisle, Griffin is over, but he can't get it down. He has. Daryl Griffin under the posts. Gets his second try of this season. And good build-up work from Featherstone Rovers. Their best passage of play in this game on the back of that penalty conceded by Leigh when they were in a good position.
A tough one against Corey Patterson here. Doesn't matter, Featherstone get the ball in good field position, and they ran harder. There was more purpose in the run. A gallant effort by Corey Patterson, the man who gave the penalty away, to try and hold the ball up. But Daryl Griffin, all the experience in the world, keeps moving, gets that ball down there.
Patterson desperately trying to salvage the situation in that tackle, along with Mickey Hyam and Greg McNally, but they couldn't deny Daryl Griffin. And that's the tonic that Featherstone Rovers and their supporters needed after a torrid opening spell here at the LD Nutrition Stadium. Hardman converts his 29th successful goal of the season, and the supporters looking a bit brighter about life.
I think the Rovers fans will be happy that in that set of 6, they tested and stretched Leigh over on the far side when Ian Hardman almost went through, back to the right with Kyle Briggs, and then down the middle finally for the score that came through Daryl Griffin. It looked sharp, it looked quick, and it looked very threatening as the game wears on. If they can maintain those standards, they will challenge Leigh's defensive efforts.
So Leigh resume then. Featherstone Rovers 6, Leigh Centurions 12, the scoreline. More qualifying action to come at 5:10 on Sky Sports Action as Catalan take on the London Broncos. So Featherstone with Missy Talapapa now. Hansen makes the tackle. Anthony Maria was a bit high potentially.
I think there was a player accidentally caught Talapapa. He runs hard, Talapapa, so you need to front up, need to get your shoulder in. Came off a bit of good work. Nah, not too much in that.
There must be some pain because he isn't faking it, is he? He's immediately telling it. He's had some contact around the head area.
He isn't a player that stares down. Anthony Maria started this game very well. Ran hard, hit hard. Only one loose offload in the opening 19 minutes or so. But players like Talapapa, to a big man, their footwork will just cause some anxiety to a big man. Sometimes when a player with footwork beats a big man, the tendency is to stick an arm out, a lunging arm, whether that's what's caught Talapapa or not, but he's up, thankfully.
High tackle, contact with the head.
Penalty.
You did, you made contact with his head.
This will be a penalty, a replay penalty.
Well,
it's a high tackle. He makes contact on the head.
Anthony Maria is adjudged to have made contact on the head.
Yeah, that's it.
It wasn't.
It would be Harrison Hansen,
anybody. It was Harrison
Hansen, yeah, on the jaw. That's what he's had treatment for.
So we've been picking out Anthony Maria, and in fact it was the arm of Harrison Hansen that did the damage and conceded the penalty.
Well, another penalty to Featherstone, fortuitous penalty, in my opinion. Can they make it pay in the same way they did last time?
Leigh will have to look lively, because here is Luke Briscoe struggling to put him down.
Go two.
Now Briggs delays the pass to Thackeray. Thackeray gets it away to Connor Farrell. Farrell showing up well on home debut. Here's Richard Moore. Reversing, gets the pass away, goes behind Carlisle. He scoops it up to Briggs. Briggs on to Davis. Davis, long ball out to Briscoe. Briscoe brought down by Mitch Brown. Samisoni Langi in assistance.
Go four.
Hardcastle now. Davis. Try scorer last time the Sky cameras were at this ground, John Davis. As Briggs puts a little grubber kick in, it escapes from Mortimer's clutches, but they concede the goal line dropout to the Centurions.
Well, we complimented Daniel Mortimer for his kicks at one end of the field. He's actually had to deal with this kick. A good one from Carl Briggs, aimed into that in-goal area. It would have drifted across and invited Griffin and Hardman to chase. They don't score a try from it, but they're going to get 6 more chances to do so.
Time off.
So Featherstone Rovers enjoying a little bit of possession at the moment and looking to make good use of it with Richard Moore.
Play on.
Moore
loves
gets
an
the
offload.
He does. He gets the
Loves
pass
an
away.
offload. He's better at it than most people in the Championship. He needs somebody at the back of him. Kill Carlisle to be alert.
Here is Thackeray now. He's brought down just inside the Leigh Centurions 20. They go down the short side with Connor Farrell. Edging nearer to that Centurions try line. Carlisle. Thackeray running across the line, and now with Hardman. Hardman to Hardcastle. Hardcastle gets the pass away to Briscoe. Briscoe steps back in field and is brought down just short. It needed to be a good tackle by Josh Drinkwater. Samisoni Langi there as well to help out. Briggs stabs the kick in, and it's pounced on by Corey Patterson, and sighs of relief from the Centurion supporters there. Here is Samisoni Langi.
Well, good stuff, both sides of the ball. Leigh Centurions have been tested over the last couple of minutes. The goal line defence has been good. It's now Featherstone's turn to try and apply some pressure. If you play that offload game, We saw Leeds Rhinos last night against the Wigan Warriors. If you play that offload game, it's so important that your last tackle options are spot on. They can't be made up as your offload game is.
Danny Tickle into the action. And here is Patterson, and Patterson flings an offload out, and it was just hit and hope. Brown's kick ricocheted. Well, it ricocheted, I think, off Hardcastle's backside. And the referee wiped the tackle count clean.
You have to ride your luck in sport, and Leigh have done that there. They've got 6 more chances here. They're shifting wide to the right.
They shift it to Dawson, and Dawson, that's good defence. Turner with the tackle. It needed to be a good one on Dawson, but coming forward again.
Oh, he plays for that ball.
Here come the Centurions with Mickey Hyam. Long pass to Drinkwater. The ball out wide, and Mitch Brown has a simple finish in the corner. Featherstone caught out in terms of numbers, and Mitch Brown, who's more at home at full-back, but has played in the centres as well this season, and as we can see on the wing, gets his 5th try of this campaign for the Leigh Centurions, who steady the ship.
Well, the referee has to make an instant call in a sport like this. It's actually hit the Featherstone player, so Josh Hardcastle has played at the ball. It's a great call from the official, one that none of us could see from this position, but it allowed Leigh the chance then to run on. They went to the end of the field, and a nice involvement here. Good accurate passes. Drinkwater to McNally. He cuts out the pass, invites the big number 1 to dive in at the corner and just ease the nerves of the travelling supporters who'd been anxious as Featherstone had been at the other end of the field, but have now just re-extended their lead.
A try scorer on this ground last August in the qualifiers when Leigh came here and won convincingly, Mitch Brown. And as Phil said, that'll calm the nerves for the Centurions. Josh Drinkwater lining up a conversion from out wide. Interesting sight down below us, because all 4 of Featherstone Rovers' replacements are lined up on the sidelines waiting to come on. Bostock, Mariano, Sam Brooks and Matty Wildy taking the field now. There go 2 of them. Mariano and Brooks. Matty Wildy wandering on as well. And it looks like Lockwood, Carlisle, Griffin are leaving. Andy Bostock just waiting for his chance to go on the field as Drinkwater looks to take his chance to add 2 more points, but that one comes across the face of the posts. 16-6, the scoreline in favour of the Centurions. Bostock does come on. Richard Moore it is who comes off. So 4 changes made as Mitch Brown adds to these. It's Mitch Brown's kick. Here we can see again.
Well, there's the kick. And you talked about Mitch Brown, but he said he's more at home as a fullback. The reason he's not playing fullback is because Greg McNally is just as good at providing tries and try-scoring opportunities as he is at taking them. And it's a better balanced Leigh Centurions side with Mitch Brown on the wing and Greg McNally at fullback.
So Drinkwater missing the conversion. 25 minutes gone. Leigh Centurions, the side who finished bottom in the Betfred Super League, leading Featherstone Rovers, who finished 4th after 23 rounds of the Kingston Press Championship by 16 points to 6. Featherstone just managed to get into that 4th spot after a dramatic last round. They lost in Toulouse, a last-minute try, in fact, but Halifax did him a big favour by beating Hull Kingston Rovers. That kick, whoa, almost got away from Luke Briscoe.
Well, Luke Briscoe, I'm sure he was looking at his fullback thinking, is it yours, is it mine? And fortunately for him, the bounce was kind, and Featherstone Rovers, they regather the ball. Both players looking at each other. One of them has to commit to it, has to go for it.
Move, get square.
Well, if you introduce 4 fresh men 25 minutes into a 40-minute contest, then you've got to hope that all 4 men can make an impact. And John Duffy and the Featherstone team here now, and all these fresh legs here, one of them carrying the ball there, has to make some impact here in this Leigh side.
It is unusual for teams and coaches to make 4 changes at the same time.
The kick from Thackeray. Not quite the 40-20 he was maybe hoping for.
Yeah, I think he looked at the angle, possibly the positioning of the fullback, changed his mind at the last second. It's not a bad option, not a bad outcome. Featherstone walked to the scrum again, a bit of communication. 10 points behind on the scoreboard, and it gives them a chance to set the defensive line, take a deep breath, and have another goal.
Here is Samisoni Langi, the Tongan international, another late-season recruit for Leigh Centurions. Preparing they were at that stage for this campaign. Greg Richards likewise making his second Leigh appearance. There he is playing the ball. Danny Tickle now. The other end of the scale from Richards. Richards 22, Danny Tickle 34. And he's had a great season, ever present in all 24. Tickle. Mickey Hyam. Back with his hometown club. Mortimer now. Little chip kick into the corner, but it's too strong.
Yeah, he pushed a player out of the way to try and get that. Might have been better served. Just pulling away from the play the ball so he could look and assess and scan what was available to him.
Conor Farrell gets him under a lot of pressure, doesn't he? Puts up on his side. Look, there's contact almost as soon as he's going to kick it.
Goal 0.
Here's Missy Talapapa, seems to have recovered from that bang he took earlier on. Tangling with Mickey Hyam there.
The game just dropped a little bit for Leigh Centurions now. Mickey Hyam at 36 normally starts the game or interchanges with Liam Hood. Just below, as you can see, Liam Hood walking, warming up. Is he getting ready to come on?
Here is Frankie Mariano now. Mariano with Fleming clinging on down low and eventually upending the former Hull Kingston Rovers man. Good kick, and Featherstone with Matty Wildy just chipping that one into the corner. Just happy to turn them around.
I'm not sure though that when you're kicking from within your opponent's half here, well, I feel as though there needs to be more attacking threat in that kick.
You'd rather have him up this end than that end.
No, but he's only kicked it from the 60-metre line, hasn't he? They're already in the Leigh half of the field. I think they need to hope for a better result than that. It's 10 points behind on the scoreboard anyway. What are they hoping to achieve?
It's going to hold it, all right?
And I'm going to reiterate the point about the last tackle options, Phil. It's so important. On the last tackle, you get the outcome that you want, not just be glad to get to the 5th tackle and hit and hoof it.
Brown protesting at something there to referee James Child as he got to his feet to play the ball.
Hold! Go.
Here is McNally. Danny Tickle now.
And Liam Hood is on. Watch for some action at the back of the play the ball. Number 21 for Leigh.
Well, it just depends how fit Liam Hood is, Barry, because he's not been particularly well with the stomach bug that has afflicted 1 or 2 members of the Leigh Centurions camp, including their coach, Neil Dukes, who had to miss training yesterday.
You'd imagine he'll start the game.
Has travelled here today under his own steam because he didn't want to be on the team bus.
Well, he's already given it to Liam Hood somehow, unless Liam Hood has given it to Neil Dukes. But you'd imagine he'd start the game with a little bit of energy.
They had Elwar Pelissier lined up to play during the warm-up. But Hood it is who started, Hood it is who's out there. Hardman, no, in possession for Featherstone Rovers. Now Briggs, whose season it seemed was over just a few weeks ago, but he's recovered from injury. Missy Talapapa almost slipping through the tacklers. Brought down by Fleming. Fleming making no effort to get out of the way there.
He knows what he's doing, Missy Talapapa. He gets through contact, lands on his front. He knows that the player underneath him is in the wrong position, and if he fights to play the ball, he'll force the hand of the referee.
So the penalty
Yeah, guys.
gives Featherstone Rovers
Go.
good position.
No worries.
Now then, can they exploit it? Here is
Wow,
Frankie
Leah,
Mariano.
move. Greg, 10 metres,
They're
hold.
20 metres out.
Go, good.
Wildy gets the pass away to Briggs. Briggs trying to duck under the challenge,
Brooks.
gets the pass away to Bostock, and now it's Brooks, and Brooks to Mariano, and Frankie Mariano takes some stopping, but
Line.
Leigh Centurions managed to do that there.
Go.
Wildy to Bostock, and Bostock trying to burrow his way over, but he is stopped
Play
just
the
short.
ball.
Formidable figure, Andy Bostock. Wildy spins the pass away. Hardman,
Play
little
on.
grubber kick comes in. Oh, and it would not sit up. It wouldn't sit up for Hardcastle.
It was a lovely kick. The bounce was bad, though.
Go for.
Oof, Davis juggling with it, keeps a hold of it, but loses momentum.
5, Leo.
That's the fifth tackle. Briggs. Bostock
Well,
flings it away.
well.
It's batted on by Thackeray. Talapapa steps back in field. Oh, Talapapa. The referees wiped the tackle count clean. There was a hand in there, and better still, there's a penalty.
Well, Mortimer's claiming he was held on there. Last tackle again. I'm not sure what Featherstone have got planned, whether that is the game plan. Keep passing. If you see it, play it. Let's see how it pans out.
Here's Sam Brooks.
1, move. Hold.
Came here from Widnes on loan. Here is Thackeray now. Thackeray. Talapapa. Good defence from Mortimer and Dawson there. Bundled into the corner. Connor Farrell.
Go 3.
Talapapa. Thackeray crossed the field. Bostock. Bostock
has
gets the
made a
pass
big
away.
difference.
It comes to Wildy. Wildy for Davis. Davis out wide. Briscoe steps back in field. Briscoe has got the ball down. Or has he? It looked
Tackle 3.
from our angle
Got to try.
that
Checking
Luke
grounding,
Briscoe had got
please.
that ball down. James Child reckons he has, but he wants video ref Phil Bentham to confirm that.
Well, he is a powerful player, Briscoe. Arm outstretched.
Oh,
He's
no.
dropped it. He definitely loses grasp of that ball and doesn't regather it before it hits the ground. Unfortunately for the Rovers,
Knock on.
and Luke Briscoe,
try.
he's dropped his
23
sweets.
What a
On
tragedy.
my whistle,
They've been
Leo.
brilliant
Wait.
play by Featherstone. In fact, I've not seen all of the
0.
games this season, but I can't imagine their attacking play has been better for 33 minutes. They've moved the ball around, they've been sharp, they've caused problems for Leigh. They've even got over the line, but they've dropped it just before it was grounded.
Surrender!
Luke Briscoe.
Sound. Go 0.
It looked as though he had got his 8th try of the season, so good work from the match officials. James Child sensing that maybe it wasn't as clear-cut as it looked, and Phil Bentham just clarifying things. I know James Child did signify that it was a try, but he asked Phil Bentham to clarify that. But meanwhile, Leigh have spilled the ball. Talapapa skips out of the first and the second, then gets the pass away, and then he's lost it.
Time off. On the
And the
spot.
Brilliant
referee
stuff.
is going to bring him back because that was the free play.
Brilliant stuff from Featherstone. The way that they're pushing up in support of one another, it's Glenn Stewart that just comes to the aid for the Centurions. Talapapa, balanced footwork, hitting and spinning.
Knock on.
As a clear underdog, though, in this contest, you get the feeling that they have to score here now while they're riding this momentum of enthusiasm and possession. The crowd are up there behind them. All the players are on the toes. They're bouncing around. But they are 10 points behind. And whilst they're playing here now and they've got this energy at present, John Duffy's team, I think, need to score some points. Leigh are stretched. You know, you talk about the players in this Centurions outfit, and 7 of them have played in NRN Grand Finals. And yet they're under pressure right now.
Well, we mentioned earlier on that the Rovers chairman, Mark Campbell, had said he hadn't been enjoying watching his side this season when he was talking about the coaching change being made. Well, he's getting entertainment here now. OK, his side are losing, but they are certainly giving the Super League side, the Centurions, a run for their money in this stage of the game as half-time approaches. Play on, says the referee. It's with Sam Brooks.
Move. Come on, come on. Hold. Go.
Big front rower Brooks. Here is Frankie Mariano now. And it's pretty desperate defence. And McNally could have been penalised there.
Play on to last.
The ball bounces up for Hardman. Hardman. Josh Hardcastle.
Hardcastle has his hands full
Turn
with
over, guys.
Lange. Again, last tackle
Control
option,
on me.
not good
Wait,
enough.
Corey. Wait. Wait.
The brand that they are playing, the exciting manner in which they play rugby league
Said wait. Just wait.
is there, and the fans will appreciate it.
Andy, Andy.
But they won't appreciate it unless they get the win at the end of the match.
The Centurions ahead by 16 points to 6. They won here 30 points to 18 in the qualifiers exactly 12 months ago. Early on here, it looked as though it might be pretty straightforward for them as they ran in early tries against Featherstone Rovers, but credit to Featherstone, they have come back strongly, steadied the ship, and they've been causing problems for the Centurions.
And that's a good point you make. They've handled the shock, got themselves mentally and emotionally back in the tussle and the fight.
Hold.
And if they can just smarten up and tidy a few things up, they give themselves a real chance in the second half.
Move. Hold, Andy.
2 tries conceded in a space of 3 minutes early on. And it did look ominous, but it doesn't look so ominous now as that kick goes out on the full.
Well, he started like an NRL superstar, and he's just about drifting down here now. A couple of mistakes in his game, creeping in. That one's gone out on the full.
Wait. Back up.
I won't imagine an NRL superstar would have seen the likes of Post Office Road. It's unique, to say the least. It's one of my favourite grounds.
3 of these guys have played in the NRL Grand Final. That's how much experience Leigh have got. And yet again, here now it's the Featherstone Rovers who you get the feeling of the next to score.
2.
Briggs.
Move. Here we are. Back up.
Scragged to the ground by Corey Patterson. Bostock. Bostock's pass.
The passes have let them down, haven't they? The last set of 6 on the last play, it was a poor pass. Hardcastle was trapped. Now and again here. Is this an example of the fatigue now? The accuracy of passes when people get tired.
He's made a big difference since he's come on, Andy Bostock. He's a big man to stop. He's got some skills, he's got some offload.
But Anthony Thackeray didn't think very much of the pass.
No. It's hard to think he was a centre back in the day on the Thursday night's championship.
Absolutely, he's always been a very wholehearted player as Andy Bostock. Always enjoyed watching his contribution. Now then, Leigh.
2, Andy. Move. Hold.
Don't need to suffer any more damage before half-time.
You're right, Bill. If they go back in with the scoreline as it is, Featherstone Rovers will feel pretty positive about the opening half. They can't allow the Centurions to get another try. That's a good work from Glenn Stewart. Good leg drive.
Hood serves it up. McNally. Oh, that looked high. That certainly was high from Luke Briscoe. Briscoe trying to claim that he was round the chest, but it was Samisoni Lange's head.
I think he was. Oh, yeah. He ends up around the head.
He's got a very high chest.
He was reaching around Luke Briscoe. He had to try and stop the player and clamp the ball, and he ended up collecting.
Massive 2 minutes here now for the Rovers on their own line.
Tickle. Can Featherstone hold out is the question. Mortimer. Fleming. Talapapa makes the tackle down low. McNally. Here is Mortimer once more. Greg Richards. Burly figure.
Line. Hold.
Featherstone back on their own try line.
Go. 3.
Stewart now. Stewart for Drinkwater. Drinkwater, the pass is spilled and the chance goes begging, and Corey Patterson thumps the ground in frustration because he knows that he could have been over then.
Well, the pass was too hard. If you can accuse Featherstone of being fatigued and the skill set not being up to scratch at this late stage, what do you put that down to, Phil?
Poor play, just a poor pass. Maybe the anxiety here now. I mean, in some ways, in the back of the mind for the Leigh Centurions is we have to do everything we can to avoid playing in that £1 million match. You know, they've almost got to treat this as though it's that case.
And Leigh have won only once away from home in 2017. So that's another consideration for them. They don't travel well,
Hold.
the Centurions. They are travelling reasonably well so far in this one. 16-6 they lead.
Hold. Hold.
Into the final minute of the first 40, but they have got a scrap on their hands here against Featherstone Rovers, who've come close and denied a try by the video ref, Luke Briscoe, just letting the ball slip from his grasp.
Keep coming.
Neil Dukes know that they've got a lot of work on their hands. He's gone for a 40-20 as Thackeray, but A, there was about 5 seconds to go, and B, it was virtually down the middle of the field as Dawson takes the tackle. And
Half time, guys.
Featherstone will leave the field, certainly not disheartened. It looked as though Daniel Mortimer and co were going to take him apart early on as Leigh raced into an early 12-0 lead. But Featherstone have come back strongly, even though Mitch Brown has got a third try for the Centurions. John Duffy's men are pushing the Centurions all the way in this qualifiers match. The Super League is what is on these players' minds, their future as well. Coming up on Sky Sports, it's the ATP World Tour semi-finals from Washington, 7:15 on Sky Sports Action, and at midnight as well on Sky Sports Action for the ATP World Tour semi-finals. That's in Washington. Here in West Yorkshire, it's Featherstone Rovers 6, Leigh Centurions 16 in this qualifiers game from the Super 8s. The second game in the qualifiers series, and Leigh Centurions, the Super League side, being made to work very hard for victory, if it is to be victory, by the Kingston Press Championship side, Featherstone Rovers, who early on, Barry, looked as though they were in for a tough afternoon, because Leigh started like a house on fire.
Well, they looked shell-shocked, the Featherstone Rovers, and Centurions looked in complete control through players like Daniel Mortimer. A nice pass to Attila Vey. He supports back on the inside, gets the opening try of the game on 3 minutes. Then just 3 minutes later, it was a delicate kick into the path of the supporting Greg McNally, who just simply puts himself in the right spot, has the skill to pick it up and score the try. The old warhorse Darryl Griffin on 18 minutes gets Featherstone's first try, and that's a cracking ball in it. Greg McNally supplies the pass to Mitch Brown, 23 minutes. Then there was a period of stalemate. It looked for a second like Luke Briscoe had benefited from a little bit of offloading, a little bit of quality, shows all the strength in the world, and just can't quite keep hold of the pill, and he drops it over the line. Unfortunate for the Rovers, who give a decent account of themselves, a few little adjustments, a little bit smarter in key areas, and they'll give themselves a chance.
Yeah, John Duffy, home debut for the new Featherstone Rovers coach. Well, he won't be too disheartened after that first half performance, or rather the second quarter of the game, because Leigh, once or twice, as we saw with that Luke Briscoe near try, they were really scrambling in defence, weren't they?
They were. They've been tested, and what the Featherstone Rovers are doing is what John Duffy's been brought in to supply, which is entertaining rugby league. There's plenty of skill, plenty of offload. It's just a bit of smarts off the back of that, and how they end the set, how they apply some pressure to the Centurions, who seem to have plenty left in the tank at this stage, but we're gasping a little bit at points at times in that first half.
Well, as we mentioned in commentary, Leigh Centurions haven't been that hot on the road in Super League this season, just the one away win. They've got 4 away games in this qualifiers campaign, so it's tricky. It's crucial that they get off to a good start here, isn't it?
There'll be some anxiety. I think Phil said they might be anxious already, worrying about that £1 million game. We're only on game 1 of this qualifying 8s, this middle 8s, and It is anxiety, it is nerves, there is a heck of a lot at stakes, but you've got to put that to one side. And the Centurions have got the quality, there's no doubt about that. Daniel Mortimer looks a very crafty player with some good intellect. And if the ball starts to go through him a little bit more and he takes more of a control, I see the Centurions win it. If the Featherstone Rovers can maintain that momentum and just be a bit smarter off the back end of the sets, then it could be the Rovers' day.
Well, it is pretty evenly balanced. You know, in the first round of the qualifiers last year, Featherstone were hammered by Leeds Rhinos. The indications are that they're going to make a stronger fist of it in the qualifiers this year. They're certainly pushing the Centurions all the way, and it could be a very intriguing second half. Coming up later here on Sky Sports action at 5:10 to be precise. More qualifiers action as the Catalan Dragons face the London Broncos. That follows this game at the LD Nutrition Stadium. Second half about to get underway, and it's Featherstone Rovers 6, Leigh Centurions 16. And Leigh have won on each of their last 4 visits to Featherstone. And they've won their last 10 meetings with the Rovers if you go back to 2013, so they should be pretty confident about this one. But the way Featherstone came back at them in that first half has given those Centurion supporters pause for thought. You've got to doff your cap to the Featherstone team, because they could have caved in, but they came back strongly, did the flat cappers.
And a flat cap doffed at that. We were walking past some fans on the way back up to the gantry, and they assured me that the Featherstone Rovers can play better. We can play better than that, Barry. Well, they'll need to. And the Leigh Centurions coming down this brute with momentum, size, fitness, you might assume. The Rovers have got it all to do.
Not such a slope as it used to be.
But perhaps in the back of their mind, there's some doubt that they have to play in the £1 million game. What Featherstone need to do is bring that from the back of the mind to the front of it by starting this second half well.
It's Leigh who get the second half underway, and Featherstone in possession.
That's great defence to start the first half. We talked about Andy Bostock. Big physical presence for the Rovers.
And what's John Duffy put into them in the half-time interval? What's the aim of the side? Well, it's make the passes stick, be the first one. Luke Briscoe retrieving that. Hardcastle. Davis, bustling run from John Davis.
That's great work from the second rower.
Here's Hardman. Oh, gets the pass around the front. And it goes backwards. It's 6 to go as Frankie Mariano picks it up. Mariano has Turner outside him, but no subtlety from Frankie Mariano. Just runs straight into the tackle from Matty Dawson. Thackeray now. Here is Bostock.
Surrender!
I can't understand why Scott Turner lost interest here on this play as Mariano went down the side, but they're now back centre field.
They're in a good position here. Here is Davis. Featherstone looking for a strong start to this second half. And they get the penalty. Leigh delaying that as long as they could. Too long for the liking of referee James Child.
Well, if they're going to come from behind and win this game, there'll be no better start than in the second half, putting their first points on the board. They've got up to the top of the hill.
Here's Sam Brooks playing the ball. Wildy. His pass finds Thackeray. Thackeray's short pass. Connor Farrell tackled. A wrestle going on there with Matty Fleming, the former Wiganer and the former Saint battling. Here's Thackeray trying to battle his way through.
Release, Greg.
Tackle by Tickle. Wildy scanning, fires the pass out. Davis.
Good defence. Leigh Centurions have spent 2.5 minutes defending.
Now it's forward from Bostock to Mariano.
That's a defensive win for the Leigh Centurions. Fully tested, straight from the kick-off. Couple of penalties and mistakes later. There's the forward pass from Andy Bostock, pleading with the referee that it was fine.
Was good defence, but I don't think Leigh will want to do too much of that. In the first half, they had to do twice as much defence near to their own try line as the Rovers. Featherstone controlled the ball really well. They completed 16 of the 18 sets when they had it. And I suppose that Leigh are hoping not to have to do as much of that again in this second 40.
Head and feed to the Centurions. Samisoni Langi trying to burst through. Chance to get some half-time news. Here's Angela Powers.
Thanks, Bill. John Duffy, the Featherstone coach, said that after that disastrous, nervous start for Featherstone, his side regrouped and reset their focus to put some pressure on Leigh. They hurt themselves, though, with a number of penalties conceded, putting themselves under pressure. So the ask for this half, if you like, is better discipline, playing out their sets and have some fun when they get near the attacking line. Neil Dukes, very happy with that start. They were strong and they were confident, even though it did get a bit scrappy towards the end of the first half. But he is happy with their defence. He wants more of the same. Patience and focus, please.
His side have got the penalty. Not square was the decision from referee James Childs.
I did try and call you, mate. All right.
So the penalty takes the Centurions into Featherstone territory. Now here's Corey Patterson.
John, move!
Davis with the tackle. Liam Hood. Tickle. Bostock gets a hold of him. Wildy was down low. Here's Liam Hood. Hood. Glenn Stewart now. Stewart off to Mortimer. Mortimer. Slick passing here. On to Fleming, but the Featherstone Rovers defence stands firm. Could have been penalised, the Featherstone Rovers defence there. Missy Talapapa, and Fleming a bit bewildered as to why he wasn't. Greg Richards. Doing well to hold out here. 4 tackles gone. Featherstone. Drinkwater trying to step back in field again. Featherstone managed to close him down. Mortimer trying to step his way through. And that'll be the turnover. Good defensive work from Featherstone Rovers there. Under pressure.
Well, this game does mean something. You can tell by the effort that both teams are putting in to defend the line. Leigh were tested at the start. 2 minutes later now we get to the other side of the field, and Featherstone have shown enough commitment and concentration there to hold out the Centurions. But look, there's some painful runs here now taking place.
Hold.
You have to go back to September 2013 for Featherstone Rovers' last win against the Leigh Centurions. That was in a championship playoff game when they beat them 40 points to 26.
I think it's Luke Briscoe who's down in back play. Took a heavy knock when he carried that ball forward.
Just wait a minute.
Whether he's winded or he's twisted his ankle.
There'll be one or the other.
Yeah.
He was rolling around in agony, wasn't he? Twist the ankle here, maybe even before the contact. Oh,
He runs well above his body weight, Luke Briscoe. He's playing on the wing today.
What are we doing, mate?
He can play in the centre, he can play in the back row. He could well mature into a middle unit player as a 13 or as a front rower.
There's an awkward rotation here on the right ankle.
Yeah, there's the injury. As I suspected, Bill, it's ankle. Not windy.
I might not risk putting myself in your medical care. Never know what would be removed.
Most of the time, I recognise it because I've had it.
If it's a shoulder, especially.
Because I've had it.
Glenn, just take a step, mate.
Well, Luke Briscoe's back on his feet. And just taking a drink of water.
Go.
Seems to be moving pretty freely.
40, clear.
The kick, downfield, sits up nicely for Mitch Brown. First half try scorer for the Centurions, and maybe looking for his second Brown. He won't. He'll give it to Liam Hood, and somehow Featherstone get back.
Thought about the offload, Liam Hood as well. Lovely footwork from Mitch Brown.
But here they are with Richards, Mortimer. Tickle, trying to burst his way through. Again, Featherstone managed to stop him just short. Atelier points infield where it reaches Mortimer. Richards is cut down. That was a great tackle by Wildy down low. Hood going for it! And Hood getting it! And Liam Hood, who was fitness doubts up to the moments before this game, well, he's proved his worth with the first points of this second half to extend the Centurions' lead.
What a great kick return here. You know what? Featherstone's defence have been impressive, but this is a chance here. There's a gap in the line. He gets outside Davis and inside the next defender and then cuts through. What is remarkable is Featherstone's ability to recover from that break. Just look, by the time the ball is played, every one of the Rovers players back onside with the referee. But shortly after that, it was a dart by the dummy half, Liam Hood, who's put himself, looked as though he was going to go one way, changed direction and gone the other, and squeezed over with good speed.
I told you he was fit, Bill.
Scottish international Liam Hood gets his 4th try of this campaign, and his first try since the memorable night when the Centurions beat Wigan. So a bit of a wait, but well worth the wait. And Drinkwater goals that one. And Leigh go 22 points to 6 ahead, extending their lead by 16 points.
Well, Greg Richards has been busy in the first half. It's a slower play of the ball, and what it does, it allows Liam Hood to just scan, look, assess the situation, see who's looking at him, see who's alert, see who's out and into position.
Well, Featherstone regrouped after conceding those early tries. They've got to regroup again.
Go.
Now here's Harrison Hansen. Hansen is driven back. Held calls the referee. Harrison Hansen plays the ball. Samisoni Langi doesn't appear to be out there. Let's get an update on him from Angela.
Yeah, about 5 minutes before that try was scored, Bill, I watched Samisoni Langi being helped off the pitch, looking a little bit out of sorts. He's gone straight into the changing rooms, and the news is he's had a bang to the head. He's failed the concussion test and won't be coming out for the second half.
So the centre absent, and the penalty goes against Featherstone. John Davis offside.
John Davis has a difficult decision to make. Liam Hood looking at the short side. They've got an overload of numbers, the Centurions. There's a tip on or a tap down by a player from Featherstone, and John Davis gives away the penalty.
So Featherstone under pressure at the start of this second half. Centurions enjoying good steady possession. Here's Mortimer. Atelier-Vey and Ian Hardman colliding off the ball here. McNally retrieving that. Forward cry the Featherstone Rovers supporters as Fleming took that pass from McNally. It's okay according to the referee. Mortimer. It's with Glenn Stewart now. Stewart is cut down by Bostock's tackle. Mortimer. Here's Drinkwater now. Short pass from Drinkwater is a poor pass. McNally couldn't take it.
Or poor skill. It was a selfless carry from Glenn Stewart. He sets up midfield position. Both sides of the field are set, and it's up to the player and the half-back and decision-maker on either side to call and overcall the ball. Greg McNally will follow the ball, but the pass was just too far in front of him. And I think that might be his first mistake. Been busy in the first 50 minutes or so.
So Featherstone Rovers breathe a sigh of relief and have head and feed, but deep in their own half. And Hardman makes a couple of yards, and Leigh will be trying to make it hard for the Featherstone Rovers side to make any progress. Greg Richards all over Missy Talapapa. Harrison Hansen wrestling with him as well. Talapapa appealing for a penalty.
He keeps his feet, he plays the ball, and that's the reason there's a quick play of the ball and Matty Wieldy's out from the back of it.
Richard Moore. Atelier-Vey locks him up so he can't offload. Fifth tackle there. Griffin, first half try scorer, plays the ball. Thackeray hoists it. It's not a bad kick, but it's gathered by Mitch Brown. Could have gone anywhere. It went into the hands of Mitch Brown.
Well, Featherstone is showing the attitude and the hunger of an underdog here, and it's giving them a chance there. They're putting their opponents under pressure in all sorts of situations. Harrison Hansen, though, make sure, listen, this is simple. Route one, we just go forward. Let's continue to roll towards the opposition line, play the ball quickly, and get the opposition on the back line. And they're shifting it a bit wider than they did in the first half, but the accuracy of the passes not matching their ambition at present.
Yeah, Fleming having to stretch out to retrieve that. Is Mortimer in the middle of the field, and that's the 5th tackle. So Featherstone doing a good harassing job on their opponents. Drinkwater hoists the kick. There are players offside, says the referee, but none of them involved there.
That was a wicked kick, high and hanging. Had a lot to contend with Josh Hardcastle. He secured the ball, and Featherstone trying to gain those valuable metres upfield.
We got a slap on the face just after he played it too. I don't know whether that was necessary from Corey Patterson, but he wants the ball. He's determined to get back in again.
Griffin on to Thackeray and on to Farrell, and Farrell to Talapapa. Dawson was high on the Samoan international. Missy Talapapa, who's been on the receiving end of some treatment in this game.
And that is a high tackle, but that's what Missy Talapapa does to players. When he charges that ball forward, he's hard to handle. His footwork has beaten Dawson, who again just lunges an arm out.
Well, it won't make the top high tackle for Leigh this year. I think Adam Hickson will completely win that award at the end of the season. It still earns a penalty for Featherstone. Gives them a chance here now. I know they need to score 3 converted tries, but get one and get their opponents nervous.
Because this is such a crucial game. The opening fixture in your qualifiers series could be the platform for a good campaign, or it could leave you facing an uphill battle. As Hansen snatches that loose pass and Leigh gather possession.
Well, those are the decisions. Harrison Hansen just picks up the ball, collects the advantage, and now the Centurions again calming the game down. They're in front on the scoreboard, commanding position, just chunking the way down the pitch.
They can't afford to squander possession like that. So Glenn Stewart takes the ball up. We'll see his former club, the Catalan Dragons, in action against the London Broncos later on. In the qualifiers at the Stade Gilbert Brutus, as Fleming puts a little kick in. Dawson was chasing, just too strong for him.
I want to see a little bit more from Daniel Mortimer. I feel the point that you made in the first half about his quality, it's there. Just needs more input, needs to command himself on this game.
Might just take him time. I mean, he's arrived in the UK. It's a different game. It's a different town. He's
fourth appearance
now for the Leigh Centurions.
In the beginning of the game,
some players, it's taken them a full season to get to grips with it. But
in the beginning of the game, he was imposing himself more, and you felt like he could control.
Yeah, penalty. Oh, and well, fair play. He penalised Corey Patterson for exactly the same offence in the first half.
Yeah, it's messy. I've seen them go either way. I thought Corey Patterson in the first half, I think he's on his hands and knees for one, Talapapa.
Well, the penalty goes in favour of the Leigh Centurions, and they're only 20 metres out. Tackles in the bag, and Featherstone will feel very hard done by if they concede a try here.
And I think off the back of Corey Patterson's penalty, Featherstone went on and scored.
That's right. Atelier, he's not going to, with defence like that right in his face, Daryl Griffin. And Atelier has a look up to see what it was that hit him, and it was the former Oxford Cavalier. He's in there again. This time Greg Richards is stopped, but they're closer. Mortimer puts the kick in. Oh, and they all miss it, or do they? Because Dawson arrives late, and Matty Dawson, has he got the try? James Child is not certain, and he's going to need video ref Phil Bentham to clarify the situation.
Well, good field position for the Centurions. The referee and the touch judge are happy with the grounding. There's your man Phil, ball in hand. Everybody's onside. It's a delicate kick. Is it missed by Glenn Stewart? Yes. Is it touched cleanly by Matty Dawson as it's bouncing and bobbling? Yes, that's a try. Lovely work from Daniel Mortimer.
The try is awarded. Matty Dawson, prolific try scorer, the club's top try scorer in actual fact, gets his 13th of the campaign. A real poacher's try that was, because others might have given up on it. It looked as though it had escaped everybody, but Matty Dawson was alert to the situation.
Well, an unpopular penalty amongst the home supporters. Talapapa says he's trying to free himself from the defenders to play the ball, but it goes against him, and it gave Leigh the field position for Daniel Mortimer to show us what a soft and accurate kick he has. It drifts, look how well it rolls across the in-goal area. It's not going over the dead ball line. Even if it misses the first defender in Stewart, there's Vey and eventually Dawson who have an opportunity to score and extend it to a 20-point lead.
Josh Drinkwater then round the corner and in off the post, to the delight of the Centurion supporters at that end of the ground. And it could be a crucial blow struck by the Centurions, who take a 28-6 lead.
Just look at the quality of this kick. As it's bouncing, it's bending back infield. High quality skill from the number 33 for Leigh Centurions. And Matty Dawson, he gets the latest try.
Very vocal crowd here at the LD Nutrition Stadium, and one or two comments being picked up by our microphones. And apologies if any offence is caused as Fleming returns that ball.
That was a shame, wasn't it? A shorter kickoff than we often see. They didn't quite have enough players to contest it and get there, and didn't reward the efforts of the kick there, the Rovers.
Hold!
They know they need the ball back, but they don't have it.
Well, Leigh have certainly had the better of this second half.
Release, Richard!
But that was the pattern for the first half. Mortimer, McNally scored the opening 2 tries for the Centurions. Then Featherstone came back through Darrell Griffin. They need the ball and they need some field position if they're going to do that, Featherstone.
Do they look as though they've got that in the tank?
At the minute, they're in scramble mode. They're trying to stay away from the edge of the cliff.
That ball sits up nicely. The ball sits up nicely for Drinkwater. And talk about an individual try from Josh Drinkwater. Put the little chip kick in, chased it himself. OK, it sat up nicely for him. But Josh Drinkwater delivers a hammer blow for Featherstone Rovers' hopes in these qualifiers, certainly in this opening game. Quick-fire tries from the Centurions.
Well, Barry made a comment in the first half about needing to have accurate kicks at the end of sets. This is a lucky one, really, that's gone for them. I think he's attempted to put the ball over the sideline and trap the Rovers deep in that corner. But it comes off John Davis's legs, bounces back up to the man who's kicked it. He throws one dummy to the outside and runs back towards the goalpost. He'll be delighted. He's put a kick in there and he's possibly here now confirmed the first 2 points of the qualifiers. Now they'll go on the league table and they'll go on them for the Leigh side with this. And still 20 minutes to go, but they have such an outstanding lead here now. They're only going to grow in confidence.
So Drinkwater, who's kicked 4 from 5, the last one with the aid of the uprights, looking to convert his own try. And luck very much on the Centurion side there. This time he's missed. Josh Drinkwater scoring only his second try of the season, this.
Well, every successful team will have players who at the right moment will take charge and take control. We've been talking about Daniel Mortimer over the last 5 minutes or so, but it's his scrum half, Josh Drinkwater, over on the opposite side, who takes control, puts himself in the frame to collect the reward.
Mitch Brown underneath it, and 32 points to 6 in favour of the Leigh Centurions, looking to make certain of their Super League survival, having finished second from bottom in the table. Catalan against London to come on Sky Sports Action. It's a very hot day in Perpignan. It's a nice afternoon in Featherstone, but temperature apparently in Perpignan 30 degrees plus, 36. With Mediterranean really sweltering at the moment. So it's going to be hot work for the players of the Catalan Dragons and the London Broncos when they take the field in a little while, and you can see that here on Sky Sports Action. Up to the halfway line come Leigh Centurions.
I think the important thing now for Leigh is almost with a new team. You know what, there've been that many changes. There hasn't been a Super League side that have changed key personnel. Different half here now in Daniel Mortimer, who's going to play with it, you imagine, in the qualifiers than what they had at the start of the season. Drinkwater on the left-hand side. They've got to develop a team understanding now for the next 6 games after this. Ben Roberts has played quite a bit, hasn't he, in the halves as well. Martin Ridyard was there earlier at the start of the season. In fact, the starting 13 for Leigh, if I'm right, only 5 of them grew up in England. It's a lot of players that they've imported, some a long time ago, some more recently. Most from Australia and New Zealand. Neil Dukes' task now is to get them to play as a team over the next 2 months.
Well, this is a good start for the Centurions to their qualifiers campaign, which continues with a home game against Hull Kingston Rovers next week, a game you can see on Sky Sports. And Featherstone are away to London and then to Widnes. Then they've got Hull Kingston Rovers at home in September. They got to visit the Catalan Dragons. They're home to Warrington, and they finish against Halifax at the Shea. They've conceded possession there on their own 30-metre line.
Andy Bostock, who's been such a physical presence in this game, gets his arms free, offloads the ball, the mistake follows. Keil Carlisle can't catch the pass, and then from that, a high tackle. Richard Moore is penalised by James Child. They look like they're going to tap this ball.
They are, and Danny Tickle will take it up for the first tackle. Runs into the challenger Bostock. And then they give it to Atelier.
Nice line.
On a roll. Liam Hood fires the pass to Stewart. Stewart trying to offload, but Centurions concede possession.
See both teams making mistakes. Andy Bostock for Featherstone, Glenn Stewart for the Leigh Centurions, but it's the field position that's the difference. They surrender possession, and Featherstone have it back 5 metres away from their own line.
Good tackle by James Lockwood. The ball comes free, doesn't it? Capture they had to do because there was a short of numbers had Glenn Stewart got the ball free to his teammates.
I think we forget now we've got 63 minutes on the clock. The first 6 minutes of this second half belonged to Featherstone. Then there were 3 tries in 12 minutes for the Centurions. They're going to get some possession back, and I think it's field position that's paramount for them now, Featherstone.
Such a shame for them, but just before half-time that Luke Briscoe's try, I mean, they say sports a game of inches, they've dropped the ball again here, but Luke Briscoe couldn't ground the ball. It would have made it interesting, but as we got to the break, the video referee correctly disallowed the try that the referee thought was legitimately scored, and Bostock's come up with a second mistake here now. We've gone past the hour mark and things falling apart. They control the ball so well up until the last few minutes. John Duffy would have been pleased with that aspect, but not now as the hours are starting to creep in.
So Centurions will get the ball back. Josh Hardcastle, who's now suffering an ankle problem.
All right, Josh.
Back on his feet.
Okay, cheers, mate.
Don't want to be risking injuries with an intense campaign to come.
Missy, back up. Might be a touch.
Yeah, 65 minutes almost, and is it a case of damage limitation, or does John Duffy use the approach? We keep going until the whistle goes, and we don't give in, we don't surrender the fight.
Yeah, heads in, arms around, Liam. Ball man.
So head and feed to the Centurions, about 15 metres out. Great opportunity for them to post more points here. Here is McNally.
Move on this line, hold.
Greg McNally in great form, having had a few injuries to contend with earlier on in this season. Missed 4 games. Came back against Salford, got a couple of tries. Hansen arrowing towards the posts. The Centurions behind those posts thought he was all on for a try. Hood's pass goes behind everybody, and it's Corey Patterson who retrieves it.
Nice pass.
Yeah, they've lost traction of the Centurions, and Patterson got a knock in the face there. Mortimer, little stumble from him. Stewart. That's the 5th tackle.
Hold, go.
McNally, Mortimer gets the pass away to McNally. McNally back across the field to Anthony Maria. Maria, he booms the pass out. It's with Patterson. Patterson side of the hand. Oh, Mitch Brown was going for it and then flings the ball backwards out of play. And it comes to nothing.
Well, under less pressure now, they have a chance to their arm and throw the ball around. Patterson flicks it backwards there, don't they? Mitch Brown in and away, but can't get past Hardcastle. He does a good job, doesn't he, of stopping the big fella. But the task again now. Look at the second half possession. It's been 70-30 in Leigh's favour, and that's one of the reasons why the scoreboard has extended the way it has.
And fair play to Featherstone. I mean, they've been up against it for this entire second half, but they're battling away.
Even with the 50-50 share of possession now, I think the scoreboard, with the experience and the quality that Leigh have in the squad, you'd have expected the Centurions to lead significantly at this point now. They've done really well.
On the foot.
They are the lowest placed side in the qualifiers, aren't they? Of the 8 teams in it, they've finished lowest of all that group of 8 teams, and yet are making themselves look a competitive outfit.
And that's the question we ask ourselves when we're looking at this middle 8 or qualifying 8s competition. Is the advantage with the team that's playing at a higher level but losing, or playing at a lower level and winning?
Surrender!
Well, they're in possession now with Missy Talapapa. Here is Connor Farrell. Strong home debut for Connor Farrell. Missy Talapapa trying to find a way through. He's found it, and it's right under the posts. And Missy Talapapa, with something out of nothing there, just put his foot to the floor, saw a gap in the Centurions' ranks, and made for it, and made the most of it. And Missy Talapapa, with his 7th try of the season.
He deserves that, Talapapa. It's a nice offload from the impressive Connor Farrell. It's on the floor and bouncing around, but Talapapa, who's been strong all afternoon, looks at the player on the floor, Danny Tickle, thinks, I think I can beat him for pace, I think I've got more agility than him. Connor Farrell is trying to make his way in this game.
Some objections from the Leigh team, as though Connor Farrell's leg somehow managed to trip Danny Tickle as he was going for that tackle. That was the reason why they felt he got through, but it's irrelevant. There's 6 more points being put on the scoreboard here at the LD Nutrition Stadium.
And it's worth talking about Connor Farrell as well. Had a number of injuries during his Wigan career. Could have very easily waved the white flag and gone back to Civvy Street, but he's stayed strong in his commitment and his ambition. I think Connor Farrell, if free from injury, is a quality player.
Well, John Duffy will be pleased with the defiance his side have shown. Hardman converting. Featherstone Rovers 10, Leigh Centurions 32. The scoreline.
Stay on side.
Featherstone Rovers 12, Leigh Centurions 32, the scoreline.
Well, the Rovers got to show some fight, and they've shown that with that try. They've got just over 10 minutes here now to continue the impressive performance that they've put in for major parts of this game. You know, they're looking to shift it wide, stretch the Leigh defence.
And then they come up with the error, and that's been their downfall in this game. They've caused themselves problems.
Well, the pass just hit the back of Connor Farrell, didn't it? Aim for the man behind him. It's preventing them from getting out to their own half, I think, in this set.
Go.
Griffin on to Thackeray. Thackeray, quick hands in the middle of the field. That's the 5th tackle, though. Hardman plays the ball. Carlisle and Briggs kicks into the corner. Great kick that.
And that's a kick for field position. Kyle Briggs just nudges the ball over the sideline. Again, Featherstone walk to the scrum. And when you've watched enough games of rugby, as we have, Phil, you recognise that at the top level, mistakes often result in a try and conceding a try. At the level below, sometimes teams might have an attitude that if we make a mistake, it's not too bad.
Well, they were outstanding in the first half, weren't they? I think the second half, the errors did creep in, but not surprising, I suppose, with the experience Leigh have had playing against the top teams in Super League and highly motivated. 2 weeks' time to prepare for this game. That they started as quickly as they do now. Hyam takes it forward, and the back. I think Leigh looked back to that starting side here now on the field that finished to finish it off.
Leigh then on course to maintain this very strong record they have against Rovers going back to 2013 as Stewart makes the break. Stewart's lost that ball as the touch judge a little signal, and Glenn Stewart is coming up with the error there.
Well, that was a bullocking run from Glenn Stewart, who doesn't see the defender until he whacks him, hits him and knocks him off his feet. Scott Turner, good work from the winger, coming in, closing the player down. But Glenn Stewart, you have to say the bench for the Leigh Centurions have all come on, added value and made a difference to the tempo and intensity of the game.
This will be 11 wins in a row for Centurions against Featherstone, and that includes the memorable summer bash encounter in 2015 when Paul Wood was sent off and 4 players were sin-binned. It was, I remember that one.
I remember it well.
It was
yeah,
a lively encounter.
Yeah,
that
very
was.
physical.
Leigh won that one 31-12, but you don't really remember that. You just remember the shenanigans going on in that game. None of that today. Been pretty well-mannered contest so far. Still 9 minutes of this to go.
Release 4, back up, Danny. Hold.
Both sides have kept their focus on the job they've got to do, and Centurions have done it better. Here's Hardman, Davis.
Nice movement to the ball, isn't there? Stretching the opposition, going forward, dragging defenders out of place.
Crossfield kick. Fleming claims it well and then loses it on the ground. Taulapapa weaving his way across. 6 to go. They might not need them. Lockwood. That's a penalty.
A good finish from Featherstone. Lots of energy.
Bang in front of the posts. Richard Moore now. Moore. Taking him on.
Goal line.
Tickle stops his progress. Briggs.
2, Harrison.
2 tackles gone as Liam, as James Lockwood is brought down. Here's Thackeray now. Thackeray. Oh, and then Farrell.
0.
He's had a stormer of a game, Connor Farrell, but he's put that ball down, and furthermore, the penalty conceded. And just a little bit of a flare up there.
What were you saying, Bill? What were you saying?
Walk away.
Well, Connor Farrell was never going to catch that ball.
Walk away,
He'd
please.
almost run past the play when the ball was chucked at him. And Richard Moore just losing his temper.
Darryl, walk away.
He's stopped dead. His momentum.
And it's the chip over the top here by McNally. Shoulder charge by Richard Moore. He knows he isn't going to win, but he isn't going to get the let his opponent chip over and score from there either. The referee just needs to calm it all down.
Yeah.
He has stopped the
Yeah, I
clock.
agree.
Greg McNally on the ground. It was McNally who scored a hat-trick in that 31-12 win in Blackpool in 2015.
10 minutes.
10 minutes in the
Shoulder
Sindon, it sounds
charge.
like here.
Off you go.
Yeah, no real arguments. Richard Moore frustrated with the drop ball. sees Greg McNally pick up the ball, and he knows he's perfectly capable of running the length of the pitch, and he just
back up here where the ball
puts a full stop to that sentence. Have a bit of that, he says.
You fancy dance with your chip and chase.
I don't think so, Greg McNally.
Give it the mat.
No, you don't.
Just get rid of that ball, please.
Richard Moore, against his former club, goes to the sin bin. Made 14 appearances in his 2 seasons as a Centurion.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
So we were talking about how well-mannered it had been, but that was distinctly bad-mannered.
I think they're listening to you, taking offence at what you're saying. How dare you, Bill Arthur?
Go.
Penalty to the Centurions takes them inside Featherstone Rovers territory.
Hold.
Rovers playing the remainder of the game with 12 men on the field. Here's Greg Richards.
2, move, Keel.
Solid tackle from Keele Carlisle.
Go.
In patches, they've controlled the play of the ball, but at times they've struggled to play at the same pace as Leigh Centurions.
Hold, Frankie. Go 3.
So Atelier plays the ball. Here is Mortimer. Tickle. Anthony Maria.
He's played well, Maria, been busy.
Oh, Darrell. Hold.
Maria is tackled 10 metres out. Don't do it. Harrison Hansen. He's over the line without the ball.
Great defence, isn't it? In the last 10 minutes, to put that sort of effort.
On your 10 minutes.
Bravery there from Ian Abben, like one of King Arthur's bravest knights there, isn't he? Wouldn't submit to anything. He was determined to prevent. He'd do anything to save the play.
Which knight would that be?
Well, that would have to be Sir Lancelot de Lac was the bravest of all of King Arthur's knights, and Featherstone have been brave today, but although they're going to finish off here now, having to defend again in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Good work from Greg Richards. Richards really putting his shoulder in there.
And there's the effort from Harrison Hansen and Ian Hartman.
Let's go then, Kyle.
So this is encouraging for John Duffy, surely, that there's this level of commitment right up to the final few minutes. That the cause is lost, but there's the bigger cause to look at.
Stay on, Darrell.
Of course, this is a tremendous competition, the middle eights, the 8s qualifiers. I really enjoy the games. There's a fascination factor to it, but there's also a test of your steel, your mental resilience, and your bottle as well. Can you handle it with the big boys? Can you meet fire with fire?
He's Mickey Hyam, and Hyam is burst through. One man to beat. He won't need it. McNally will. Greg McNally rounds off his second of the game. And the Centurions, in front of their own supporters, celebrate. McNally takes the plaudits, but the old man of the side, Mickey Hyam, and there he is in the middle of it, getting the plaudits of his teammates. Serve that one up on a plate.
Well, this is a shame for Featherstone, because I don't feel as though the final scoreline accurately reflects how competitive they've been today. But that's wonderful feat against tired men in the middle of the field who can't react quickly enough to the way that he changes direction, stutter step one way and the other, goes between defenders and finds good support from the fullback, who will be happy with his efforts this afternoon here in Featherstone. He's got himself into a supporting position, and that's what they want now, the fullback. If a player makes a break, you need to be there to make sure we turn that into a try.
Second of the game for Greg McNally, 5th of the season all told. It's been a stop-start season for Greg McNally, but the good news for the Centurions is that he's back and in form. Drinkwater's in pretty good form with the boot. Could be better. And Neil Jukes on his sickbed in the build-up to this game, feeling a whole lot better about life.
Well, don't they have some quality at 9, the Centurions? Liam Hood, who's done some damage while he was on the pitch. Mickey Hyam started and finished the game. Also, Pelissier, who doesn't make this match, add him into the mix. Some real questions being asked from that 9 position.
McNally in great form. Got 2 tries against Salford on his return in the last regular season game against Salford. Now he's got 2 tries in the first qualifiers game, and that's the sort of form you need your players to be in when you get to this stage of the season. For Leigh, it's about Super League survival, and this is as good a start really as they could hope for in that campaign.
And if you can have all your valuable assets on the pitch at various times over the 80 minutes, you give yourself a chance. Been in some important contributions during this match, but collectively, Leigh Centurions have met and matched their opposition.
Here is Hyam, and Leigh looking to finish with a flourish here, which would be harsh for Featherstone Rovers if they conceded a flurry of points late on here, because they have been very stubborn in terms of their resistance. That's the 5th tackle. And Drinkwater hoists that one towards the post. Hardman claims it.
Well, that's a penalty. He's been taken in mid-air. Daniel Mortimer has touched him.
Sorry, it's not injured.
No, he's not. He's attempted to catch the ball, but I think you've seen it wrong.
He's touched him in mid-air. I thought you couldn't touch him in mid-air.
Well, that was what Stuart Cummins said, but the referee on the field thinks no, he's legitimately gone to catch the ball, and hence the reason why he said play on.
Both players are up now, thankfully, although Featherstone have knocked the ball on. What a shame. Connor Farrell. They look a little bit tired in these closing stages now, the Rovers.
Connor Farrell hobbling away after
I think this is a penalty. I think at that point, he's pulling the fullback, which makes it, for me, a tackle. And there might well be some contact in the head as well. And luckily, Ian Hardman gets up. The referee sees it a different way. You see a different way, that's fine. Luckily, it's not going to alter or skew the scoreline. The right team is on the right side of the scoreline.
There is a danger, unless you allow the attacking team to try and catch the ball, then, we take something away from the sport.
I've said that before. What is the point? If you feel like you're going to get penalised every time, what's the point in challenging? I've said that before.
Scrum infringement, meanwhile, after a bit of a scrappy period of play and penalties conceded. And the penalty, the most recent one of them, is for that scrum offence, and the ball flung out wide, I think, by Josh Drinkwater.
Straight to the ball boy. He says, listen, we've done enough here now. It's almost the end of the game. Josh Drinkwater tries his best. There's 2 enthusiastic ball boys there waiting for that one.
The ball boy needs to catch the ball then, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He was interested in that.
Not flinching.
Needs to have his hands open.
Last minute, all right?
Catch it.
Discipline.
That looked like the Brian Carney technique of catching a ball, that one.
Heads in, Greg. Get ball.
So, scrappy end to what has been an entertaining game, and as far as the Centurions go, a good start to their qualifiers campaign, looking to preserve their Super League status. Featherstone Rovers, who've never featured in Super League, looking to rattle the established order, but they will have a big task doing that. Tough campaign for them. And the best, really, you'd say maybe would be that Featherstone improve on last season when they didn't win a game. Well, they suffered a hiding in their opening fixture in the qualifiers last year, but they've given the Leigh Centurions a really good run for their money. The Centurions much stronger in the second half, overpowering, really, John Duffy's team. The new coach at Featherstone yet to taste victory. But it really was a good battling performance from this Featherstone Rovers side. Leigh Centurions, though, off to a winning start in their campaign, and the architect for it, for a lot of the good things they did. Daniel Mortimer, man of the match. He's with Angela.
Yeah, the man of the match is Daniel Mortimer. It was a great start, wasn't it? 2 great fast tries. They made you work for that win, though.
It was. They're a very good side, and yeah, a bit patchy from us. We started really well, but yeah, look, it was good to get the first game and get a win, and we definitely got some improving, but happy with the first result.
They have their own pressures, these playoffs, don't they? These qualifiers. It's almost like every game's a bit of a knockout.
Oh, it is. There's a lot on the line. So there is a bit of nerves getting around. It's a different competition that I'm used to, but yeah, look, we turned out today and we got off to a good start, and that's all we can ask.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Say go to the family at home. I don't know if you're still up watching, but hello.
Thanks, Daniel. We've got Neil Dukes now. Neil, you've come out of your sick bed to come and watch this game and to coach this game, and you got the result. Has it made you feel better?
Yeah, definitely. I said it would be the best part to get better on that. But yeah, I just thought for the main we controlled it, and fair play to Featherstone in the back end of both halves, just stayed at us. It's a tough place to come. I've been here for many years now and understand if you don't get it right performance-wise, then they're going to come and hurt you. But I was pleased to the main, we stuck to the plan, and as I say, through that we got a lot of territory, and really pleased just get a win behind us, and important start, obviously the 8s for the win, and we've done that, and we kick on for next week.
Is it 1 down? Thanks very much for that, Neil. We've got John Duffy with us now. John, it was going to be a baptism of fire for you anyway, wasn't it, coming into the qualifiers, but give us your assessment of that.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I just thought we started poor both halves and give ourselves too much to do. Our discipline let us down in the first half as well, and we thought we could have done more in the second half, but credit to Leigh, the quality outfit. They've been playing at higher intensity every week all year, so we've a lot to learn, a lot to go at, and we'll be working hard next week.
So the start really knocked you off, but you did manage to regather and regroup.
Yeah, we knew we could punch some holes in there once we get into good ball, but we just give ourselves too much to do and too much defence.
That gap between Super League and the Championship, is it breachable now for you?
Yeah, I think so. It's just hard work, and we just got to work hard, and they're playing at high intensity every week, and we've just got to be a bit smarter.
Thanks for your time, John.
Cheers.
So John Duffy yet to taste victory as the new Featherstone Rovers coach, and meanwhile Anthony Maria, an outstanding performer for Leigh Centurions in this one, gets the plaudits of the English supporters, does the French international, and Leigh Centurions will head home with an opening victory in the Super 8s qualifiers, having beaten Featherstone Rovers 38 points to 12. Greg McNally back in the side and in form. 2 tries in the last game against Salford and 2 tries today in this Centurions win, and Daniel Mortimer contributing a try as he came up with a man-of-the-match performance. So Leigh off to a winning start, joining Warrington, who beat Widnes in their qualifiers game on Friday night. And next up in the qualifiers, a game you can see from Perpignan. Sky Sports action next up. It's the Catalan Dragons against the London Broncos, all to play for in the southwest of France.
Sky Sports, feel it all.